Welcome, everyone. This meeting will be held in accordance with California Government Code Section 59453, subdivision of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 54950, Series Resolution Number 2022-48, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act. While this meeting will be physically open to the public, given the state of emergency regarding the threat of COVID-19, members of the public may also participate and comment via application Zoom. Zoom information was posted on the agenda. Welcome to our City Council regular scheduled meeting here in the city of Ceres today, Monday, June 13th. I now call this meeting to order. Can we get the roll call, please?
Councilmember District 1, Casey.
Here.
District 2 is vacant. District 4, Councilmember Klein.
Here.
District 3, Vice Mayor Silvera.
Here.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. Today's invocation is by Pastor Kathleen Haley Disher, Ceres Valley View Church of Nazarene. Everybody please stand. Followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. Holy God, we ask tonight that we might be aware of your presence in this space. We ask that our work here might be faithful, that our work would be honest, that our work would be blessed, and that our work would bless others, and that our work would bless you. We pray that the wealth and work of all the world might be available to all, free of exploitation. May the council members here and the citizens and business owners and all those who support the community of Ceres, we pray that they might work together like fingers on a hand to continue to make Ceres better for those who and work here. Above all, we pray that your kingdom would come on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
United States of America, to the republic, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you, everyone. Today, we do have a presentation. Proclamation for 75th anniversary of the Science of Society of Disabilities. And Kathy Mendoza will be here to receive this. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, thank you so much.
Okay. In recognition of the 75th anniversary of the Society for Disabilities, whereas for 75 years, the Society for Disabilities has been dedicated to enhancing the quality of life and self-sufficiency for people with disabilities in Stanislaus County. And whereas founded by caring citizens to help people suffering with the after effects of polio and other disability conditions, many of whom could not afford medical care that might improve their conditions. The Society for Disabilities set out to provide medical equipment, physical therapy, doctor consultations, and eventually vocational rehabilitation. And whereas today, the Society operates the largest loan closet in the area, leading adaptive mobility and medical equipment to those in need. And whereas the Society offers recreational programs for people with disabilities, which includes winter ski, water ski, bike camp, day on the farm, bowling, and forthcoming golf and soccer programs. And whereas in addition, the Society offers sign language classes and is a resource for referral agencies to the community. And whereas Society for Disabilities is an independent nonprofit entity with funding and support coming solely from private sources, without which it would be impossible to provide these unique programs and services to very special and vulnerable population. So now, therefore, I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Brett Silvera, Councilmember James Casey, and Mike Klein, do hereby recognize the 75th anniversary of the Society for Disabilities and invite all Ceres residents, businesses, and organizations to join us in the city in celebrating the significant milestone and the extremely noteworthy contributions made by the organization to our community. Thank you.
Thank you
Big round
so
of
very
applause,
much.
everybody.
I'll just say while they're walking that it's very important to recognize the work we do. It's also very important to get the word out about the work we do so that we can serve more people. So please spread the word on our behalf. Thank you for this honor.
Thank you once again. Moving on to citizens' communication. On the councils on matters not included on the agenda. While the city council welcomes and encourages participation in the city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution number 2007-106 for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the city council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the city council from taking any action on any matters which is not on the posted agenda, unless it is determined to be an emergency by city council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the city council must adhere to the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted outside in the chamber's doors. We will begin with in-person comments, and we do have a yellow card here today. Mr. King. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to just bring
I'm sorry,
myself.
please state your full name.
My name is David Clyde King. I am a current resident here, and I would like to thank all of you for what you do for our city. I come here for the second time. I was here approximately a year ago, August. I wanted to say the word complaining, but I was complaining about speeders, reckless drivers, up and down my street, which is 25 miles an hour. I live between a park and an elementary school, which I also pay so that my children can be safe. They can play out front. That is not so. I cannot even let my own child play out in my front yard. My neighbors that I have children, I don't see them out front playing. I don't see that. I've called Series PD many, many times. They came out, they do what they can do. I'm trying to do my part by what I do, by contacting Series PD, by contacting you, by coming here today. There are many, many times where I've stepped out in front of cars that are doing 50 miles an hour in front of the elementary school while kids are crossing the crosswalk. Yes, and most of these people are mothers texting and driving, young kids in their Mustangs, their Camaros, flying up and down my street, stopping in front of my house, waving at me and spinning their tires because they know I'm going to stop them. They know I'm going to call Series PD, but they also know that Series PD can't do anything because they have to catch them. They can't take a picture from me. They can't take a video from me. At least that's what I'm being told. I've taken many pictures, many videos as I sit parked at the school waiting for my son because I do not walk my son to school anymore. I think about the 20th or 30th time I almost got ran over at the crosswalk. I gave up walking to school. I drive my son around the corner to the elementary school because it's the only way to keep him safe. I came here asking for help. I was told to fill out a piece of paper for the city engineer to do a study on the road. But I told him that study had already been done. Okay, argument lost. I signed the piece of paper. I did some city person's job by signing a piece of paper and requesting for it to happen. I spoke to who I believe is to be the interim person in charge of city engineering because there was no city engineer at the time. I don't know if there is now or not. And he said that he's clocked people doing 74 miles an hour down my street. 74 miles an hour in a 25. Not a month ago, we had a brand new Cadillac doing 360 donuts right there in between me and the school. Series PD was on it. They were all over my streets looking for that caddy. I got pictures, I got videos. Doesn't do no good. I want to know what will do good. I am here today asking for your help. I spent 23 years of my life in foreign countries defending this country, only to come back here to find this on my own street. That angers me. I did my part. 23 years out in deserts, jungles, you name it, I've been out there. I've seen half this globe. I want my street to be just as safe, but it's not. It's not safe. We have got to do something. There are rules and regulations and laws, but they could be changed. Come up with something to fix this problem. I'm coming to you, asking you for your help now. I'm doing my part again as a citizen. I've contacted them many, many times, and they do their part. They don't have very many police officers. They need more. Give them more money. Pull it out. Stop hoarding it. Stop giving it to painting a curb white and spending millions of dollars or whatever on it. Series PD needs your support. Us people need your support. I have animals that I've seen hit and run right in front of my home. People just drive off. They don't care. While Series PD is setting up their little white van thing right there, I'm talking to them, going, look at this lady right here speeding down the street. Oh, wow, look, she goes driving right by us. I looked at the police officer and said, that's illegal, is it not? He said, yeah. I said, well, then do something. She blatantly did it right in front of you, knowing that you won't do anything because somewhere down the line, it's not happening. Something needs to be done. I know it's not just my street. Put up some speed bumps. The engineer person says, oh, we can't. We did the study. And well, because this is a main access road or whatever. He confused me on purpose, probably. Can't do speed bumps. Okay, if we can't, then what can we do? What can we do? I got a minute left of my time trying to express to you the urgency of keeping the children safe, keeping our pets safe, keeping our own other citizens safe, keeping our law enforcement and fire department safe. They're the ones keeping us safe right now. We got to do something to help keep them safe too. And if these people are doing 74 miles an hour down I-25, where else are they doing it? Give some more power to the citizens that'll take it. Give me the right to take a picture and give it to the PD. I'll give you a picture every single day of somebody illegally parking in a handicap at Virginia Parks Elementary. Every day. I gave up calling because by the time Series PD gets in there, that person's done up and left. I thank you all for your time, and I really do hope something comes of this. I thank all of you for the work you do, especially the fire department and police department. I really appreciate you. I salute you.
I'd like to make a comment.
King.
And no, and my light doesn't work, so.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I feel for you. Okay. I live in a neighborhood that has 4 sets of speed bumps on them. I've lived in this neighborhood for almost 50 years. And I would like to see, and I'm going to stretch this out to the city manager and the city engineer to find out, because we get safe routes to school money. And I know about 4 years ago, before the city council, 3 years ago, there was an issue with the school buses at Ceres High School. I believe it's Fifth Street. And the issue we had with kids speeding up and down Fifth Street, when the school's letting out, the school buses are there. They were trying to figure out a way how to slow down the cars. It's the students, it's the parents, and all that. I would like to see what we can do as far as using safe routes to school money. What we can do as far as speed bumps in school districts in front of the schools. Because, you know, my kids went to Carroll Fowler 30 some years ago. And it has got a lot worse than it was 30 years ago. And, you know, I feel for you. My kids are all grown. My grandkids don't live here in town. And it's a little different. So I would like to see what the city manager and the city engineer can come up with to, you know, maybe it's as much as shrinking the street like it's in Eastgate, where you got parking on both sides and they got to go slow so they don't hit a parked car. You know, but something's got to be done because really, I agree with you. It's got out of hand. So I would like to see the city manager, the city engineer, see what they can do and what we can do, because there is numerous streets in Ceres that has speed bumps. In fact, there's one that's like not a major thoroughfare, but it's a straightway. It's a little bit north of, I want to say Evans Road, the one block a little bit north of Evans. It's
Richland.
got speed bumps on it.
Richland,
Pardon?
probably Richland. Richland's a
Oh,
Richard.
Richland runs north-south.
Richard.
This
actually.
one, huh?
Richard's
Richard.
in Richland.
Yeah. You know, there's speed bumps on that one. And so, you know, I'd like to see the city manager, city engineer, see what they can come up with and bring it back to the city council on our next meeting on June 27th is some kind of just information. Not something that we can take action on, but at least an information and see which direction we can decide to go. Okay?
Mr. King, this is very, very alarming to everybody, and we know I could repeat what my client said, but I think he's absolutely right. Maybe I'll chime in the chief in this. I know I want to put him on the spot, but I know he can provide some input as well, the city manager. Something that you guys can look into.
We could certainly look into that. I wouldn't recommend we discuss the matter much more than we have because it's not an agendized item, but we could certainly bring something back for council informational purposes at the next meeting.
Yeah, and that's what I asked for. We're not an agendized item, but some informational stuff that we can look through and decide if we wanted to go a direction. You know, just like we did with the art money. You know, it was an informational thing. We talked about it, went from there, you know, something in that manner to get the ball rolling.
We could certainly do that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And one more comment, please. If you can, on your comment card, did you leave your name and phone number? Okay, so I'm going to ask the city clerk, when that's put on the agenda for the 27th, you're at least being notified. So you can come down and you can see, you know, at least what the discussion is going to be about.
I would like to see it actually happen. Wait patiently. Patiently.
So,
and nothing's happened out.
well, the city manager and they're going to bring something back as an informational item on the 27th. The city clerk will contact you. You know, if your email's on there, or your phone number, they'll get a hold of you. So you know it's going to be on the agenda. You can come to the meeting and be a part of it. Okay?
I just want something to happen. Empower people like me. Empower us, people.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would like to speak, please?
Dave Pratt of Ceres. The last meeting, a lady with a $400 water bill reminded me that when we first got meters, I used to get mail all the time on my water usage. But the city got lazy and they quit doing that. And it's posted everywhere on monthly usage. And you'd think the city would be keeping track of those that are using too much water. But again, the city is lazy. But that's expected because city and the school district are water wasters. It's kind of hard for the citizens to justify not wasting water when the city and the school district does. But Newsom is going to get ready. He's going to tell everybody except himself he's exempt on how much water and where you're going to get it. And you're going to have no choice. So I'd like to see you get back to letting people know how much water they're using. So like that lake, because they don't find out till the end of the month that they're wasting water and they thought they didn't use that much. And it comes big as shock. I just got my bill. But I expect that a little bit. Mine just jumped over $200 this time. That's me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Ray Smith. Good evening, council members, staff, and Mayor Lopez. Tonight, you're tasked with awarding the contract for the Morgan Road corridor. I'm here as the last effort of trying to get the city to work with the ranch head owners on this project and get an outcome that will be satisfactory for both. It is my goal to have the mayor, city manager, council members, staff, all sit down, go over this project, and try to find out with a plan that will work for both parties. I, as well as neighbors, feel that this project was rushed through the last minute, nearing the deadlines, leaving the staff in a tough spot. It was presented to us last minute with no options to make any changes, leaving us more aggravated. I think it's time for both parties to step back, find a way for this project to move forward smoothly, leaving both the city and the ranch head owners with a solution that will work for both. The one thing that I have learned from running a successful business for the last 39 years in life in general, it is always better outcome when you sit down and work things out for both parties to come to agreement. It's not about who wins, who loses. It's about coming out with an agreement that will not only work for both parties, but allow both parties to move forward with no bitterness or hard feelings, which takes some give and take on both sides. As longtime residents of this community, we feel that it'd be in both parties' interest to sit down and come to agreement. I urge you to get together, sit down with all involved and try to come to a resolution on this matter. I have learned a lot on easements recently and that they are very tricky for both sides, many times ending up in court or resolved or compensated. We'd really like to come to some sort of agreement without putting the city or ourselves through this. No matter the verdict or amount of money, there are no long time winners when you go down this road. I do not have representation at this time. I think it would be best for us to sit down and try to work something out for both parties, and so we can work together and not against. I believe you're aware of our concerns in dealing with this matter and would urge you to reach out to see if we can come to an agreement that will work for both parties. There's been no clear direction given to these ranch head owners on how this project will take place. We were told that it will happen this summer, which is pretty vague. I would suggest having a plan with them, as we need access to our houses and rear property to get vehicles in and out during this project. The new fences will also need to be in place before removing the old ones. We have a lot of time and money in trees, landscaping, and other stuff that is just going to be disposed of. We have no plans or information of what will happen with all that stuff. It will take some time on relocating around the property in this case. These ranchettes also have no gas or cable available to them. The gas and cable come from across the street. So if anybody requests these services, this freshly paved asphalt that we got extra money for will be torn up again as it has in the past with Whitmore and a few other places. Would it be possible to stub these services if this project's going through to avoid this? I really thank you for your time and everyone that has put their time in to make this a better community.
Thank you. Next person, please.
Uniquely serious. Got a few things I want to talk about tonight. One of them has to do with something I saw on the evening news a couple nights ago. And I don't know if it involves the police department or the fire department, but they were talking about the fuel shortage in cities. And they have budgets for fuel. And I don't know, it was somewhere around Sacramento or below Sacramento that said that their particular police department might be sorting out calls because of the fuel costs, because they're only budgeted every year for so much fuel. And I'm sure the fire department wouldn't probably be in that category. If there's a fire, they have to go. But I know they do categorize things. And I was kind of wondering if we were going to be on some kind of budget for that because of the fuel costs, and will they respond to certain calls at all, or just let them go because of fuel? And I want to commend the program. I guess it's part of the ARPA program or the funds for West Coast arborists that's been cutting the trees down and disposing of them. Boy, what a nice thing. I've seen the neighborhood around me and some other places. They've done a really good job. Short of having a vacuum cleaner, they've cleaned up after themselves very well. And one of the gentleman's names there, I might be saying it wrong, Solicito Sanchez. He was the foreman for the tree work, at least in the west side of Ceres, and his crew did a great job. I just want to commend them for doing it. And if it comes up again and they need it serious to do it again, you might want to call those people. And the other thing is, we'll go back again to something that bothered me back in May, and it has to do with decorum. And tonight I listened to you, Mayor, again, talk about decorum. On that particular night, like I told you in the last council meeting, nobody said a word, nobody. Tonight, when I see people making comments here for people that was up here, and I want to commend this gentleman on Morgan Road and the first gentleman about the streets. I understand totally what he's talking about. And for him to stand up here and spill his heart out on this stuff, I feel that totally. There's only a few people that can stand up in this city and say something. No, the rest of them are afraid or something, but they just don't stand up. And it's men like him, women like him, teenagers, whatever. If they come up here, they got a problem. And it's lasted for a long time for some of us. But getting back to decorum, I would like tonight, and I know where this is going to go. A few people have privately apologized to me, but I'd like everybody on the council to apologize to me for what happened on May 9th, 2022, and to the citizens of Ceres. And for number 2, which I gave you all a copy of, and the city manager too. If you don't have the fortitude to admit a mistake and apologize to a citizen, something's wrong. But when you can turn around and answer some gentleman's question here or two gentlemen's questions here, but you can't apologize to me or the city of Ceres for the conduct that you made on May 9th, 2022. Something's wrong. And like I said before, those people up there, you were put there for a particular reason, and people believed in you. Do they still believe in you? Who knows? But it should be really gracious to tell the city of Ceres that you're sorry for what actions were done on that particular night. Thank you.
Next person, please.
Good afternoon, City of Ceres Council. My name is Jose Gonzalez. I've lived here in Ceres for all my life, that being 22 years. And I come here to discuss with you specifically agenda item number 6, resolution, awarding the contract for safe routes to school Morgan Road corridor improvements to United Pavement Maintenance, Inc. That agenda item is affecting me, my family, and other family members directly, because if it's not already plainly obvious, we live there, 3807 Morgan Road. And what this entails is construction that causes our landlord to have evicted us from our home. He has now given us 2 months to look for a new house while we search for a new home to live in. I'm not entirely sure when this construction begins from my landlord. He told me 6 to 8 months. And then in the span of a week, he then turned it down to 2 months. And just a couple days ago, Monday of last week, he gave us the eviction notice for 2 months, which will be ending on July 31st. And I'm just here to ask, and if it's even feasibly possible to maybe extend the duration until construction begins, so that way at least us, my family, and my aunt, my mother, they're right here with me also. It's been affecting us not just physically as in looking for a new home, but it's also been affecting us emotionally. We've been under a lot of stress. My mother, she's going to radiation treatment just now, and it's going to end in the middle of June. I'm sorry, of July. And as that's stressing us out, now we have this enormous problem on top of everything else that's going on right now. So I come to you just to ask if it's possible to any sort of compromise to help alleviate this problem that has burdened not just me, but other people too, my family. And that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. If you can leave your information with our city clerk when you leave, phone number and your email address. Anyone else? Now move on to Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom with their hands raised?
I do, Mayor. The first person is John Osgood.
Welcome, Mr. Osgood.
All right. Got the speaker on the phone. Is it working?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. We recently released a request for applications for Measure H committee. Some of you may or may not be aware, you asked for 5 seats. Since been corrected, but here's my issue. I have a city manager, I have city clerks, deputy city clerks. I got a lot of staff to look this stuff over before it's posted to the website. We're back to doing things pseudo last minute and improper. We just made all kind of allowances to the new city manager. Money for this, money for that, 200,000 plus total package this gentleman makes. This was something my business was putting on its website, albeit a trucking company. It should be accurate, especially if I'm looking to elect board members or committee members, something of this nature. It's unacceptable, gentlemen. Need to tighten it up. This is our ship. You're just running it for us. I've said it many times before. Got a lot of issues happening where the people are being violated. You want to, Mr. Mayor, ask for a gentleman's information after he addresses an agenda item during public comment. That should have been postponed till the end to that agenda item. We need to get our stuff together. I don't know how to do that, but the people are getting tired, as evidenced tonight by many subjects. Let's try to tighten it up. Let's try to do things the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood. Next hand.
The next hand is X Gaming. I've unmuted your mic.
Hello, everybody.
Don't have nothing to say because they know. You're not supposed to deal with that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mr. Osgood, if you could turn your mic off, please. Thank you.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to mention about the traffic. Yes, it's in series. I've lived here for about 25 years and came from a little town named Houston. And that's a really tiny town. We don't have that problem there. I don't know. And Sirius is not that large either. I just don't understand why. I think we need more police officers, seriously. I don't see them. I don't know. I don't know where they're at. Like when I drop off my son at Central Valley High School, I see people always parked in handicap. I see people always parked in the red, doing U-turns where they're not supposed to do U-turns. Road rage. Let me tell you, really bad road rage. We just need more police officers out there. What does it take? What do the citizens have to do for that to happen? I don't understand. Tell the truth, on my street, 10th Street, they go driving by 10th Street 100 miles per hour. And it's always this red car. I have a camera, but it drives by so fast, you can't catch it. I just don't know what to say anymore. This gentleman speaking about, he lives on a street where there's a school. And I would like to know, what street that is, but that's okay. I believe him. But we need to do something. We need more patrolmen or more police officers. I don't know what it takes. Can we have one at least at each school? I know Central Valley, I see them there, but I see them in the afternoon. I don't see them in the morning. So in the afternoon, they're there for no what reason. They're there usually around 3 o'clock. And I see them parked like right in front of the office, like on the right in front of the office. But they're not out here like watching the traffic. If there was just one, I can tell you it makes a difference. At each school, you guys know what time the children get released. Around 2:30. Just find out their schedules and send an officer out there, especially when there's citizens complaining. One of these days, they're going to run over a kid. My kid does not walk to school, and he's 14 years old. He's never walked to school one day in his life because of the traffic. I'm afraid he's going to get ran over. And then you guys made the roundabouts instead of you took away the stop signs. People just run their yields. They don't even obey the yields, and they don't even watch out for the kids. They're all in a hurry. The parents are always in a hurry because they have to get to work. They have places to be at. I just hope you guys do something before someone gets hurt. Please listen to us. This is, it's getting really, it's been like this for many years on my street. I would like to have speed bumps, like a couple streets down my street by Roding Park. They're full of speed bumps. They don't have traffic like I do. They use my street for everything. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Maria Castillo.
Thank you, Maria. Last hand raised.
Rosalinda Vieira, I've unmuted your mic. Rosalinda? Rosalinda, can you hear me?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, it wasn't working for me. I just want to approach regarding some of the topics already. I know we had a change at the city clerk's office and it's kind of caused a few hiccups for me. And I don't know if everyone is aware. I know I've emailed Alex and I didn't get a response. But I was a few weeks ago removed and blocked from the Zoom call for the city council meeting during public comments. This is a violation of the laws. You know, we're not supposed to be blocked during public meetings. Really didn't get a response as to reason why I was removed and blocked. And luckily I was able to join finally. I've asked a couple of times to confirm that I was going to be able to join the meetings in the future. And then lastly, I know Mr. Osgood also mentioned about the Measure H. I was appointed on October 11th, ending in 2023 next year. And I noticed on the website my name was removed last week. I did send an email again and I did not get a response. I see it has since been fixed and my name is back on the website. So I'm not exactly sure where these hiccups are happening and how they happen, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware that this is happening and maybe we can kind of, you guys can work together to make sure everything's going a little more smoothly, because I'm sure I'm not the only citizen that's running into this problem. And then since it was brought up by Maria a few minutes ago about the roundabout on Morgan, I was nearly rear-ended the other day because people don't stop at the roundabout even when there's cars in the roundabout on Morgan Road at Aristocrat. I was almost rear-ended by a nice 4x4 Ford truck, beautiful truck, but it would have literally really hurt me in my little car. So I do know it's an issue, especially with the school right there. Sinclair is at the corner. A lot of parents are racing over there, and I'm sure it's happening around the city. I would love to see cops out, even if it's just driving down the street through Central Valley, through Sinclair, Blake, or Don Pedro. We have all these schools relatively close to each other, and just having a presence, or even a post. I know we talked about getting some radars with this flashing lights with the speed. I think that would make a great difference here in the city and hopefully reduce some of the incidents that we're having now. And in the future, because like she said, the stop sign is stopped. People aren't stopping for the crosswalks. I also am one that picks up my son from high school because of the same problem with people not stopping in the crosswalk, even when it's green, you know, or the light's red and the kids are crossing on the green, they're still not stopping. So I just want to let you know that that's also an issue that I've seen. I appreciate your time tonight and everything you guys do.
Thank you, Rosalinda. And I have been responding to your emails. And Alex, if you have an opportunity, if you can take a look at those emails, please, that I will leave it forward to you. Let me know if I did. Thank you. Thank you, Rosalinda. Any more hands? Okay. The public comment section is now closed. Is there any conflict of interest? Moving on. Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by a roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item pulled for further discussion?
4, 6, 10, and 11.
Any other items? Any members of the public who would like an item pulled? Sure. Number 12. Looking for a motion for the rest of the items?
Move to adopt 1, 2, 3A, 5A, 7, 8, 9, and 13.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes. Okay, go into item
Passes,
number,
I'm sorry, passes 4-0.
thank you. Item number 4.
I pulled this item because I'd like to make one comment. I learned something today. I go through the audits and I look at it, and there was one item that I pulled, and it's from vendor number 1211. It's Exxon Enterprise. It is for body worn cameras, evidence communications license. You know, about 5 years ago, Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, about 5, 6 years ago, the city council approved body worn cameras, and the council bought them. And I had the luxury to talk to somebody that works for SR 911. And at the time I asked him what those body cameras were. And he told me that they were basically like a Ford Fairlane compared to a Cadillac. Okay. And he says they'll serve their purpose while they have them, but after a while they'll be obsolete. So since that has happened and the department bought the first set of body cameras that they went through, since then they've upgraded and bought another set of body cameras. And this all goes back to the conversation I had with the chief today. And the difference is now they bought the Cadillac model. Cadillac model, talking to the chief, they come with warranties, upgrades, memory, all kinds of different things to complement their usage and what the department could use. So I pulled this item because I just wanted to be aware of, everybody out there that, we have upgraded our systems. We are giving our departments the tools that they need to operate, and not having to keep on going back to get things repaired or upgrade obsolete equipment or anything like that. So I just want to commend the police department for stepping up and going through and getting the systems that they deserve. So that is the only reason I pulled that item. So I have no other comments unless somebody in the public has a comment.
Any members of the public? Zoom?
So with that, I'd like to move to adopt item number 4, registered audits and demands for the period covering May 18th, 2022 to June 1st, 2022.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Carries 4-0.
Item number 6.
I pulled this item because there was a couple of people in the audience that spoke about it. And properly, we should have just had you hold off your comments until this item was presented. But, I asked the city staff a couple of questions about, one is the design, and they went back to the alternative that the city had first, had, went through things. But then, I haven't seen the alternatives, or I haven't seen any of the other designs they've had. But I'd like to question staff, because I look a little bit to the west of the community center and how they impeached in the roadway and changed some driving directions just to accommodate the community center. What is the feasibility of doing that on Morgan Road?
Mr. Klein, this is Sam Royal. mean, we're trying to achieve the ultimate right of way, which is, this is what was presented back in the days when the general plan was approved by city council. So our ultimate right of way is 110 feet. So this is why we're trying to achieve that, right away.
Well, and then see, and I got no other alternative but to sort of play ignorant on this thing, because I was part of the city council when we adopted the general plan. And, it's nothing but language. I don't remember seeing anything with roadway redesigns or, any of that aspects when they're, talking about expanding the roadway or, and I thought I did my diligent job as far as my homework on the general plan update. So, I'm at loss because of, you say it's part of the general plan. And, when we do that general plan, I don't remember any redesigns or anything like that. So it's all verbiage as far as safe routes to school, things like that. So, I'm trying to find out alternatives. You've got people that have lived in these houses and it's been ranchettes for, let's just say 50 years. And now all of a sudden it's almost like Whitmore when they did eminent domain. They widened it to a 4-lane road with the suicide lane. They took the houses and took it away, and they had to go out and get other houses after the city paid them. And then they turned around and built houses right back in there again, but their property line has all been adjusted. But in this case, we're not taking their houses, we're not taking their property, but you're taking what they've felt for 50 years is rightfully their front yard. So, I just, want to know what other kind of alternatives do we have?
Well, Mr. Klein, at this point, I mean, we can't go back to the design stage. I mean, we have some funds that we need to secure and move on, otherwise we're going to lose them. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I can't say this is it, but if we don't award this contract by the end of this month, there's a big chance that we have to give that money back.
And when does that funds, because I didn't see it in the report, when it's going to be expended? If we don't use it by when?
If we don't award the contract by the end of this month, we would lose that funding.
Okay.
And we're talking about $674,000.
Well, I will commend you, because I know we talked about this, that, about since we're tearing it up, we have sewer lines, connected over there. We're not connected, ran over there, so we're not tearing it up again. The water mains, the same thing. I mean, that's all part of the program. And, I think that's a step in the right direction. So I got to say that part, I think is in good grace.
And we are working with the ranchette owners. We are providing them additional access to their site. We're adding more driveways, and we're trying to accommodate anything that they need within this project.
Okay. I have no more comments.
Any comments from the public?
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, John Warren, City of Ceres. I kind of decided not to say anything this evening. If something is going to be or reach a deadline by the end of June, it should be before the council in maybe March or April. It shouldn't be before the council 2 weeks before the funding would expire. That has been brought to your attention as council members many, many times. And the man's name was John Osgood. He sat up here and beat the drum regarding that situation. If you speak against something, please don't vote for it. I don't care if the city loses $650,000. Maybe it's not right to do what's going to be done with that money. Maybe the planning should have been looked at long before today. And now there's only 2 weeks to go and we have to pass it or we're going to lose the money. Isn't it okay to lose money once in a while if the project is not properly brought to council in a timely manner? Consider those things, please, especially going forward. All right? We don't need to lose funding because of the lack of people bringing it to your attention as council members until the last minute. That's staff's responsibility. Thank you very much.
I have a comment. You know, this project has been years and years and years in the making. And the only reason it's on the consent calendar to finalize the project and the expenditures is because the city, along with everything else that's involved, has tried to accommodate everybody to make this happen. So you insinuate that it's a last minute decision. It really isn't. This is just the final time that we're gonna say, yeah, go ahead and start the project, spend the money on it. This has been years and years and years in the making, and everybody involved with this project has known about it for several years. So nothing has been done last minute. Just remember that nothing has been done last minute. As most of you know, in government, it takes a long time to do almost anything. And we're years into this project. So just so everybody understands, this isn't a last minute, let's hurry up and approve this. This is just making sure everything was done correctly. And then we're going to prove it like we do everything else. And sometimes it's days before we spend the money. This isn't out of the ordinary at all. Thank you.
Dave Prattis series. Basically, Mr. Akeley is correct. You people are clueless and when you should talk up. It's like the gentleman and the lady on Zoom started talking about an agenda item and a non-agenda topic. Should have been asked to sit down and wait until that agenda item came up. Thank you.
Ray Smith again. So, and I'm sorry about having that earlier instead of doing it now. I just didn't think it was to do with just the budget for getting this road. So I wanted to get it out for that. So, as far as this project has been in the process for, you have the year when this started. I mean, it's been several years, but not everybody knew about this. Maybe the city did, maybe the old employees did. When I heard about it was last year, and it was new employees that got thrown on their desks and says, hey, we got to get this pushed through real quick. So it sat dormant. It wasn't sitting there getting worked on, from my understanding. I think that the city manager wasn't there, but I think it wasn't getting worked on that whole time. And then I forget, I don't have the papers in front of me. The engineering that got these papers literally was an intern at the time, got it thrown on his desk, said, hey, push this through. We got to then, it's to the end of this year that this project has to be done. And I think that's where, as ranchette owners, that's when we found out about it. We didn't find out about it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or whenever this came up. It was recently, last year. As far as the improvements for the road, I haven't seen anything on that. I know when they did Morgan Road years ago, they did put gas lines in it, and they do have telephone and everything. None of those ranchettes are serviced by any of that. I checked into getting gas, I don't know, probably 2-3 years ago. It has to come from the far side of Morgan Road. The road has to be torn up to bring it to our property. And that's why I was asking on that earlier. It may have the other utilities that isn't there. It would just be a nice option. And I just see too many times, everybody complains about California's roads and we spend tons of money on them. And I don't know how many times I see a project where it's brand new. It's like, man, we finally got a new road. I think Whitmore was one. And all of a sudden I go back down and they're ripping the whole road back up because the pipeline didn't get put in or something. So that's why I brought that up. So as far as being, you were talking about, you have been talking to us with ingress and, getting in and out of our houses. I haven't talked to anybody. I have no clue what's going to happen at our house. If they're going to show up tomorrow with bulldozers, you know, am I going to be on vacation when this happens? Is it going to be July? I heard summer. I don't have a date. I can never get a date out of anybody. It would be nice to know exactly what's going on. I have tons of vehicles in the back. I need to be able to get out of my side gates, my front gates. I don't want to have something planned, be going on vacation or whatever and can't get out of my place. So the communication would be huge on this, sitting down with everybody and doing it. You know, as far as just sitting here tonight, I don't get a chance to come. I'd like to come more to these and see what happens in our city. Just sitting in here tonight, it seems to be a ton of school problems. And, you know, maybe this money should have been used in, you know, Central Valley. I drive by that. I had 3 kids go there. It's a nightmare going down there. I seen something recently where they wanted to do something for kids coming out of Central Valley to go the opposite direction down, I believe, towards Blaker and come back up to this street, which was, I'm sitting there as, okay, you're doing this safe route to school that goes nowhere. We don't have kids come down Morgan Road. And then now you're going to divert the kids from Central Valley instead of to this safe route passage to school. You're going to divert them around the other way, which is safer, down a less beaten path, less miles per hour. Maybe I seen that wrong. I don't know. That was just recently. I'm asking.
If it was done recently,
Yeah, well, the Central Valley, you were gonna have another safe passage from Central Valley High School to keep them off the service road, it looked like, and then have them go down through that neighborhood and then come back up to Blaker right there. It was just literally, you guys were gonna do something at the school a month ago, like a meeting.
yeah, I'm not aware of any issues.
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm just
Smith.
saying, so I'm just saying, all these schools and the things that happen today, maybe that money could have been used. Probably too late to divert that money with when you're at this, but this deadline deal this didn't just happen. The ball, this thing sat for years, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to lose the money and got pushed through. And I do want to make that, and that's one thing that's irritating to me. If I had been approached 3 or 4 years ago, we wouldn't be here right now. It would give us tons of time to sit down and figure this out or go a different direction. Now you're putting on us because that happened. It wasn't me that delayed this thing for all these years and just came up to this, you give it to an interim engineer, you know, less than a year before it goes through and say, hey, I know you don't know anything about this project. We got to get it put through. I mean, my time's up, but I just want to kind of get the gist of what is actually happening here on that. So.
Thank you. Let's make sure we get his information so that we can communicate with him.
Yeah. Can I reply back to Mr. Smith?
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Smith, once we have the project awarded, well, I'll be more than happy to have you attend our pre-construction meeting. And I want to be just to make sure that none of the driveway access would be blocked. You're going to have 24-hour access through your property during construction.
And with the fences, with animals and everything that we can talk about that at the meeting. Or
We definitely will look into it. Yes.
I'm just one ranch head owner. Obviously, a lot of them can't come. I think one other one might be here tonight, but if you can include them, I mean, it's a group. You know, so.
Absolutely. We've been in touch with all of you guys and we'll keep that during the construction process.
And if you can let me know, I mean, I still really don't have any timeline. You know, I don't want to be on vacation or that when this is happening. Is this happening in 3 weeks or do you have a date?
No, not really. I mean, by the time we approve the traffic control plan and all the submittals, we're talking about a month from now, most likely.
And start of construction?
Yes.
Okay. If you could let me know as soon as possible, not wait for it.
Sure will.
Mr. Smith, I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Well, one's a statement. Part of this project, when I talked to the Public Works Director, was to include sewer mains over to the Ranchettes property and city water lines over to the Ranchettes property, so they wouldn't have to dig up the road again. Okay. Once they do that, then it's the property owner's responsibility. If they decide to go on the sewer, they decide to go on the water, to pay for the hooks, the hookups.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two is a question to you is, you know, you're talking about going on vacation, you're talking about access and things like that. What would you think is a good determination of notification for you? A 24-hour notice, a week notice, you know, to let you know when some of this work is going to start commencing, so you can be prepared for it, so you can plan?
I would like to say like a month or 2 months. I mean, this is stuff that not only me, but you're dealing with 3 other ranchette owners that have to reschedule. I'm very busy. I run a business. I've got a ton of stuff going on. I go back and forth to Canada. I can't just have a week or two. And, and that's one thing that's been frustrating, it's, I had to put them to put locks on our gates. Not only for that, but for, to keep things safe and stuff. I literally got a note on my door. I think my daughter was home, didn't want to answer the door. She didn't know the person. I believe it was somebody from your department, dropped a note off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, stating that, hey, we're going to be on your property. I think it's supposed to be 24 hours. I have cameras and stuff. My daughter calls me again, Dad, there's people on our property. This is 9 o'clock the next morning. Might have even been 8:30. That thing got dropped off at 3:30. That's not good. And on a ranchette, that's my family there. You do not want to come on my property and scare me and catch me off guard. They were up at the front and they're on my property. I lock the gates for that reason, because this isn't the first time. That from that night to the next morning, that's not enough time. I'd be more than happy to go out there. I'll go out there with you guys. You can't just show up my property.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kevin Waugh. I'm the new city engineer. I just started a couple weeks ago, and I would be happy to communicate with you. We're going to be getting a schedule from the contractor if we get approval tonight, and I'll work right through it with you and give you my card after this meeting. So
okay,
I'll take care of that. We're going to replace your trees and your fences, and we can schedule how we'll do that with you, make sure it suits it. So yeah.
I guess if you don't mind, I want to take a bunch of time, but when you come to the trees, I've spent hours and hours. I put in irrigation systems. I literally spent 6 months out there when we didn't think this was going to happen, to try to isolate ourselves. We were in the country. I try to want to box it in. I don't want to move and pay taxes on $1 million somewhere. We're going to stay there. And I was trying to box it all in. Well, now that a lot of that's going to go away. So I was in fact, a couple times they've just been right plain blunt, especially with my neighbors. We're just taking it. It's ours. So are you guys going to work with us, or do I need time to be able to move those trees myself?
We'll work something out. Let's meet later on this week. We'll talk about it. All right.
Well, that's very refreshing. And I haven't met you yet, but it sounds good talking to you. And that's what I'm really looking for, is a two-way conversation. And that's, I think, what we're all here for, donating our time and stuff, right? Thank you.
So I have another question for you, Mr. Smith. Talking about all this and how it doesn't affect my property, affects yours. With what you're saying, and I had a similar incident just a couple weeks ago with AT&T. I watched them go in my backyard. Nobody's at my house. Didn't have permission. I left work, went over there, confronted them. It was not too pleasant. And I'll say it. I called the chief, and I asked him, a couple of questions. I didn't pursue it any further, but, I was a little bit, ticked off, for the lack of better words. But, with the conversation we're having now, with the dialogue we're having now, my question to you is moving this project forward. Okay. Knowing what the conversation we've had now, are we going in the right direction?
I would say so. So, I want Ceres to do good. I plan on living here forever. All my kids, I'm involved in a bunch of stuff. I do not want to get into conflict with the city.
Okay.
And I really feel like talking to you tonight that we can get somewhere. But while we're in this meeting, I've had this happen before, and we get there and we've sat down. I've wasted my time, went to meetings a couple of times to turn around and just buy some time. And all of a sudden, sorry, Ray, we aren't doing anything. And literally, we're doing it the way we are because we can. And that's really the feeling that really got me irritated. And then it won't be that way. We will be going down the lawyer road. And I've done, I've learned way more about this than I want to. It's not my field. It's not what I want to do. It won't end good. I really like talking to you tonight. I'm glad we can actually sit here and talk, because when I come up here before, I come up and spoke, I never even got a call back or an email or anything. It was like I wasn't even here. When I tried to get something put on the agenda, that should have been a simple deal. It never got put on the agenda. I never even got responded to. And it was really frustrating, and just makes, on the community side, irritated with the city. So, this is what I want, is to reach out and talk about this. When I've talked in the past, and that's probably where the issue is going to come down to, is I'm getting this other stuff out of the way if we can get it to an agreement, but I'm not asking for a lot. And this is really, I'd like to talk about this while the council's here, so we don't get in a deadlock in the room and waste everybody's time. Is that amount that they're taking is huge. I mean, there isn't anywhere I know that, what was the dimension on that road? You just said it earlier. I mean, it's more than we have anything in series, and I understand what you're trying to do and the aesthetics of everything. What I'm asking for is not to take, I think it's like a 10-foot section. So, and the reason is you're taking out our palm trees, you're taking all of our defense away from our house. We park our cars in front of our house because my daughter sleeps there. They're going to hit that car before they're going to hit that, or they're going to hit the palm trees we have out there, or the fences we have, or the palm trees. We barricaded around. We went over this last time I was here, less than a year ago. We had a drunk driver go through our fence. They were going so fast, they took out my fence, almond tree, a fruit tree, and then landed on top of another fruit tree, had a stump sitting there that they knocked about 50 feet. Had not all that been there, that would have been my house. And so everything's getting taken away from that house. They race on that street, they drive, they do donuts out there. It's worse because it's a 45-mile-an-hour street than these school systems. That's part of it. But over the years, I've lived there since 90, I think. I've done this for a reason, and it's all getting taken away. So I'm going to have this street, a wooden fence in my house. I don't have any cars in between it because I don't have enough room to park them or anything now. It's going to be that. And that's going to be a problem down the road if it ever happens. And I hope it doesn't. That's my daughter's room in the front room. If I could get 10 feet of that even, which gives plenty of room to do aesthetics. I've measured it out. You could do your walkway, you could do your bike lane. There's no reason that if I had that, I have a circle driveway right now. I could still, and I have to move a bunch of stuff and change a bunch of stuff into our pasture. I don't care about that. I'll do that. But that'd give me room to park a car and drive by it. Sorry. And I mean, that was, every time I've asked for that, it's not even an option. It's like, no, we're taking it because we don't have time to go back. Well, it's not my problem. You don't have time. And it is, I know engineers, I've talked to engineers on this. It can be changed very, very easily. We aren't even changing the road itself. We're just changing whatever we can do, but it's never been an option. And then that will be a problem.
Thank you very much. Unless you have another question, Glenn, go ahead.
Pardon?
You have another question, go ahead.
Well, as this conversation is moving forward, just so we can move this thing on, here's what I'm going to ask of you, Mr. Smith, is take a picture of your front yard. Okay? Take a picture of your front yard, send it to the new city engineer, send it to the city manager, and copy me on the email. If you'd like to copy the mayor on the email. Okay? Send pictures. You just heard that he'll try to be as accommodating as he can, to get it looking, what you spent years and stuff doing. I want to move this project forward because of the aspects of it, but I also am concerned with citizens because, like I say, I went through the same thing with AT&T, and I took pictures of what they did in my backyard. Well, you know what? When they came back second time, hey, it's back the way it was originally supposed to be done. And, I basically stayed with them on it, but I had pictures the second time. You got a palm tree. Those things are a little bit different as far as, what I can commit the city to doing because of, how germinate or, take hold and things like that. So, I'm limited when I could say that. Okay. And I don't want to put the city in a position where they're spending $30,000 to move a palm tree. But, some of the other aspects, I'll work with you and I'll work with the city manager. So, you are, like AT&T had to do to my backyard. Let's put it that way. So, if you can do that, work with them, email wise. If you ever email the city manager, copy one of the people from the city council so we can follow up with, to make sure that you're answered, so your concerns are taken care of, and we can follow up. Okay? I mean, can we at least work together for that?
100%.
Okay, so I think we can move this project forward.
And I guess the timeline would be the biggest thing, is it'd have to be fairly quick. So we can, for your guys to speak most of all. So
If I might, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
Go ahead, sir.
Just want to clarify that we will absolutely work with Mr. Smith in terms of scheduling, in terms of notification, in terms of, relocating fences and landscaping materials. But I just want to clarify, we may not be able to accommodate the request in regard to changing the design of the project. So I just want to clarify that, be upfront with that, and make sure the council and Mr. Smith understand that.
And I think Mr. Smith's aware of that.
well, I think this is where, because I've dealt with Alex quite a bit on this, I think that's where our problem stands. They do not want to change anything about the project, and that is a problem, even the 10 feet. And did we just hear you correctly? That's not going to change no matter what.
From what I'm hearing from the design team, we're putting forward preferred alternative with the project, and that's our recommendation.
Hey, Alex, could I elaborate one more thing on?
Please.
Yeah, the actual design itself was approved by the CTC, which is California Transportation Commission, and it meets the safe route to school requirement. So there's nothing that we could do that we could modify our design to accommodate Mr. Smith.
But again, we will absolutely work with Mr. Smith and the other partners in regard to notification, relocating and particularly step in, Sam, if I'm going down the wrong road, so to speak, in regard to moving trees and that sort of thing. We will absolutely work with the neighbors and work with property owners.
Yes, that most definitely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Move to approve resolution 2022-55. Consent calendar.
Second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes, before I vote, I want to thank Council Mike Klein for so much discussion. When I first came on board, the project was presented to me, and I understood that property owners were notified plenty in advance. And they may have been, and Councilman Vice Mayor Silvera mentioned that it's been on the book a long time. But as a city council person, I'm privileged to a lot of information. Jim Casey, the citizen that lives at 2412 Gila Lane and has both the Series Courier and Modesto Bee delivered to my house, I don't get very much information. Therefore, I have to vote no.
okay, we have a no. Councilmember Casey, Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-1.
Item number 10.
Item number 10. I pulled this item because I didn't see in the report where the electric vehicle charging stations were, and Sam sent them to me. My question to you is, looking at the pictures that you sent me, that's prime location in front of the building. Wouldn't it be better served if they were more east in the parking lot? Because if it's electric vehicles and you don't have an electric vehicle, you're not supposed to park there. You know, so wouldn't it be a little bit better served if we can have them a little bit more east in the parking lot?
Yeah, Mr. Klein, we're trying to get it closer to the transformer that exists right now. So I think that was the location that was desired by TID to have that. To have that in the spot that they chose to. But we could definitely consider moving them to,
I mean, I would like to see alternatives because like I say, you know, that's right in front of the community center. You know, prime location. We have senior classes, we have different things here. And if those are electric vehicles, you know, basically you're not supposed to park there unless you have an electric vehicle. You know, I would like to see them push more towards the east. So with that being said, I cannot support this project. And until we show a design where we can get them away from the front entrance.
well, I think in that case, Mr. Klein, I think we would have to trench the parking lot in order to make that happen.
Well, don't we own the parking lot here to the south?
Yes, we do.
So, I mean, you put them in the south, you can put them out towards the street, east area. Why couldn't we relocate them?
I mean, that's something that I need to go back to TID because I have no idea how far they need to be away from the existing connection to the transformer.
But TID is going to do this. Can't we work with TID to see what they're, you know, what we can do?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We could go back to them.
Any other questions? Any members of the public like to make a comment? So, okay, one person.
John Warren, City of Sirius. What transformer are we talking about? Where's the transformer?
The transformer should be right next, and the,
Aren't the poles closer to the sidewalk? So if you put the charging stations out by the sidewalk, it would be closer to the transformer, correct? There's no poles in the middle of the parking lot.
no, we're talking about the island in the parking lot.
Is there a transformer there?
That's what they're proposing to put one in.
They're proposing to put one in.
Right.
Why don't they put it someplace else? Closer to the street. If they have to install a transformer, then that's not a problem, is it? Just put it over closer to the street and then you can have your charging station closer to the street.
Well, we could definitely go back to them.
Thank you
and
very
ask
much.
them.
And it looks like I'm gonna be up here quite a bit. Dave Pratt of Series, we're the last discuss. When you take a vote on something, you know, take the vote and discuss it. This discussion should be over with. And then you take the vote, not vice versa.
Anyone else? Seeing none. Roll call, please. I'll try to get a motion action, take it back.
You know, if we're done with thing, I'd like to make a motion to take resolution 2022-59 and table it until the Public Works can come back with alternatives.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item number 11.
Item number 11, I also pulled this item because, you know, what is it, Fire Station 17, Chief? Okay, I always want to say Service Road, but you know, I've been out there and visited with Chief Weiss and, you know, I've been out there before. I think it's a great training ground. I think that, you know, talking to Chief Weiss, that the training facility that Modesto City has over off Carpenter Road is basically at the mercy of Modesto Junior College. So, you know, this has been a great training ground for, all the departments that are locally with jurisdictions in Stanislaus County. The reason I pulled this is because if you read the staff report, the only cost to the city was fiscal impacts was cost of the city, including ongoing maintenance and utility costs. So that was not included into the report. And I do have the answer, but I will ask the city manager or the finance director, can you please tell us what the ongoing maintenance and utility cost estimates are going to be?
The estimated annual maintenance and utility costs are about $67,000.
Now, that is for water, sewer, for maintenance of the building, upkeep and everything like that.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I thank you for that because it wasn't included in the agenda. So, I think it's a great facility. I think they've done great. If any other council members have an opportunity to go out and look at it with the stations they have there and what goes through there, I think they're doing a great service for the county. So with that, I have no more further questions.
Any members of the public have a comment? No comments on Zoom, no hands raised.
Move to adopt resolution 2022-60.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Item number 12.
That was pulled by Gene. Mr. Yegley.
That was you. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, sir. Sorry, Mike.
Yes, I think the chief could probably answer this on that resolution. Are these particular trailers that specifically said here, speed trailer? Are those like the digital ones where you can add other things to besides the speed, or these old antiquated ones that look like they flip down and have speed numbers on them?
They're not antiquated, they're new technology. They only have the speed that the driver is traveling, which is what is new. It's retractable, so it can be seen from either side of the street. They do not have the ability to have messages put on them. We have separate trailers for that.
How many currently do we have speed trailers?
Currently, we have 2.
Ooh, that's not good. And how many of the other trailers do we have?
Not sure. I have to reach out to
The
Public Works
information
with that.
ones?
Maybe 2 or 3 information trailers.
Were those added anywhere? I can't remember. There's any funds added for those trailers too?
We did not apply for those.
Oh, those can be pretty effective sometimes, especially during 4th of July and the summer months, the informational ones.
Yeah, we use the ones that we do have quite regularly.
Well, maybe somewhere along the line, you can kind of equal the 2 out and we can get some funding somewhere for more of the informational ones plus the speed ones. How often do those speed ones go out?
It just depends on the request that we have.
And how long would they stay at any given area?
Depends on how quickly we can bring a resolution to the problem in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
So if there's nobody else, I do have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Mr. Yegley brought it up and asked a question about this and made me think, do they make speed cameras or speed trailers that can take photos, record speed, and where you can issue tickets?
There's something similar. I think it's called a red light program. I'm not too versed in that, but I know that that technology is out there.
So I'm going to go out on a limb. Can you look into that, please?
Yes, sir.
That might be something to look at towards some of the school districts. Some of the schools, not the school districts, but some of the schools, especially during, school time. It wouldn't hurt to look into it.
I can definitely do that.
Would you please? That's the only thing I had. So any more questions?
I just had a comment that this, with the information we have from citizens about speeding in schools, it seems like good, really good timing to add these trailers and put them in front of schools or wherever needed. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and this seems like really good timing.
So with that, I'll move to adopt resolution 2022-61.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Moving on to public hearing. For this particular public hearing, item number 14, staff has requested that item number 14, public hearing requesting consideration of a resolution approving the engineer's annual report, confirming the assessment and ordering the levy for the 1987 landscape and lighting district for official year 2022-23 to be continued to the June 27th, 2022 city council meeting. Since this item has been scheduled, I will now open the public hearing at this time to take any comments from any members of the public that may wish to speak on this item. Any of the members of the public would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, no members on Zoom, seeing none. After the council, any comments? If we can have a motion and a second to continue this item to June 27, 2022.
Move to table resolution 2022-63, the next meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Do we have any council member referrals?
What are we gonna do?
Sorry, wait,
budget?
I'm sorry. Did I skip something?
Yes, budget. Little thing called the budget.
Yeah, it's just a little thing that's important, right?
Sorry, Mayor, thank you.
All right, what number is that? Number 15, if it's not here? Sorry, I don't, it's on my list. Number 15? Yes, sir. It's not on my list. Okay, great. I have it here now. Item number 15. 2022-64, adopting the annual budget for the city of Ceres for the 2022-2023 official year, approving positions for official year 2022-2023, and the resolution number 2022-65, adopting appropriations limitations for the official year of 2022-2023. All yours.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight I have a brief presentation, a brief overview of the fiscal year 22-23 budget.
You ready?
I think
It's frozen?
I believe it's-
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to go ahead and take a recess to resolve this issue. If it's frozen, we're gonna have to do a reset. We're gonna go to a 5-minute reset. Oh, actually, you know what? Take that
There we
back.
go.
Looks like technology's
Slow.
it has a mind of its own. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next slide.
Thank you.
All right. So our presentation format will have a presentation, then council questions, citizen communication, council discussion, and hopefully then we'll have an adoption. So for the current year that we are in, 21-22, we had a beginning balance of $7.57 million. We have projected revenues of 25 million, projected expenses of 25.6. We will end with a projected fund balance of 6.95 million, or 27.1% of in reserves. For fiscal year 21-22, we have projected revenues to come in slightly above budgeted, about $300,000 over. Projected expenditures are expected to come in as budgeted. And final draft revenues and expenditures will be available in September or October once we get our final sales tax and all of our revenues in. We anticipate a use of about $619,000 of reserves. Again, bringing our reserve balance to 27.1%. Of course, if actual revenues come in higher or actual expenditures come in lower, then that reserve balance will increase. So big picture overview for 22-23 budget, we have included 1.1 million of the ARPA funds in the proposed budget for revenue recovery. Revenues are projected slightly above current year, and expenditures are forecasted with an increase for the 22-23 year are, of course, an increase in the cost of goods, the negotiated salary increases that were negotiated last year, always retirement costs and health insurance, and then workers' comp and public liability insurance have shown an increase. Again, the proposed budget includes the first installment of the ARPA spending, which we have already started spending. $11.6 million is what we are expected to receive in total. And the funds are to be obligated by the end of December 2024, and we need to spend them all by December 2026. And of course, council will determine the use of all of our ARPA spending. Next are draft revenues for 22-23. The first is a pie chart of the general fund revenues. It shows the purple piece is, of course, the sales and property taxes, utility users tax, business license, and that is 73% of our general fund revenue comes from those kinds of taxes. Everything else is from intergovernmental, charges for services, licenses and permits, and transfers from other funds. So our general fund revenue sources in our future, we get our forecasts from Muni Services. We have future growth coming from residential and commercial developments, both Whitmore Ranch, the Walmart, the completion of the Walmart Center, Ceres Gateway, and other developments at Service and Mitchell. And of course, there are unknowns regarding inflation or another possible recession. Review of our general fund draft expenditures. The next slide is our 5-year projection. And the yellow column is the 22-23 year that we are preparing this budget for. It shows a beginning balance of $6.9 million with revenues coming in of 27.1 and expenditures of the same amount, ending with the $6.9 million ending balance, 25.6% reserve balance. This next slide is our general fund expenditure pie. 75% of our general fund expenditures are for public safety. Administration is 13.7, and public works and engineering is 10.5% of our general fund expenditures. So this slide shows what departments are included in those categories that make up that pie. Administration is your building inspection, city attorney, city clerk, city council, city manager, finance, general city, human resources, planning and recreation. Public safety includes dispatch, code enforcement, fire, police, and records. And public works and engineering is administration, engineering services, facilities, parks, and streets. And this slide is your total expenditures for all funds across the entire city. It shows 44% for public works and engineering, 33% for public safety, and 23% for administration. And this next slide just details which departments are included in that. They're similar to the one for the general fund. Go ahead. So draft fiscal year 22-23 expenditures. Our total draft general fund expenditures are expected to be 27.1 million. General fund personnel costs are 56% or 15.1 million. With Measure H, total expenditures come to 33.8 for public safety, which is approximately 81% of the total general fund and Measure H budgets combined. So the second round of ARPA funding of the 5.8 million is expected to come in July of 2022. As mentioned prior, we are using 1.1 million of the ARPA funds to fill the 21-22 budget shortfall. No new positions have been added, and it's a status quo budget. So next, we just will take council questions and hopefully can adopt a budget tonight.
Okay, let's go ahead and council. Any questions?
I got questions.
Go for it, Mike. Thank you.
You know, first off, before I start my question, I would like to apologize to the chief of police and Captain Crane. You know, at our budget workshop, I got a little bit, lack of better words, irritated on a question that I'd asked. And, you know, I think the parties did not understand the direction I was going. And so everybody got a little frustrated. And after the meeting, Captain Crane come up and we had a discussion about what my question was. And he had a little better understanding. He answered my question. It had in regards to investigative services and contract services. And the conclusion was that in the past, they had taken some investigative services that they are contracted out to do and now moved them into proper channel or where to pay for them. And they weren't, went back into contract services instead of investigative services because they're two completely different things. So I want to reach out to the chief, Captain Crane, and I believe Lieutenant, Perry was here also. So I would like to, I'd like to publicly apologize to you for the direction I went. So, and I did, after the meeting, get my question answered and we took care of it. So going forward, I already had the police and the fire that I asked questions on. You know, I have a couple of things here. I sent the city manager and the finance director a whole list of questions today. And I do want to thank the finance director for getting back to me in a timely manner because it made a world of difference for me as far as getting them. But I guess, you know, after I printed them out and reviewed them and things like that, I think in the future, what would probably be a little bit better is because of the questions I ask, like in information technology. You said that they were budgeted in the 21-22 budget, but what I have in front of me is what the projections are, not what was budgeted.
Correct.
That's why 99% of my questions were directed in that direction because I don't know what was budgeted the previous year.
Right.
You know, I've always kept a copy of the budget, and after this one, I take it home. But being away for over a year, I didn't have last year's budget to go back and review. So with that being said, you know, we've got a lot of increases, it looks like in departments 16, 18, 19, 25, 35, 41, and 63, and it all has to do with contract services. And just to answer my own question, the questions is because they were increased. There's a couple of them that have a 56% increase over what's projected for this year and what's budgeted for next year. And the reason of the discrepancy is because I don't know what they had budgeted, that they didn't expenditure this year. So I do have my answers. I'd be glad to share them with anybody that wants to know it. But if I went through them all, we'd be here for another least 45 minutes to get through everyone I got. So I do want to thank the finance director for getting back to me with these. And I'll be glad to share them with anybody that wants to see them. But all they did now was take it from last year's budget, which did not get used, and roll them into this year's. So it does not reflect in the projected finals. So with that being said, I don't have any other questions or comments.
Okay, council, any questions?
Sure. My question really is, the city manager asked me about several times, if I have any questions about the budget. Really, the simple question is, if we didn't have the ARP, what would we, and why are we including that to balance the budget? If I think it should go back, staff. I know you worked hard to get the budget where it is, but I think we have an obligation to the citizens of Ceres and to the future council, because, you know, come November, there's a possibility that you're going to have 3 new council people. And I think it's our obligation to the citizens of Ceres to have a balanced budget without using ARPA money. We've had, as council people, we've had budget before us 3 weeks ago, I guess. And maybe we haven't spent the proper amount of time like Councilman Klein has to go through it. I think it's just the obligation to work a little harder to balance the budget. Really my own question.
I have a comment just kind of along the lines of what Councilmember Casey said. Yeah, we're very fortunate right now to have some money to bail us out. I think it behooves all of us and the department heads and all of your staff to get your sharpened pencil and eraser down. And if we can not have to spend $805,745 of ARPA money next year to balance our budget, I think that's exactly what Jim's asking for, and so am I. And I said that from afar during the budget meeting. We would be in a tough situation without that ARPA fund, those ARPA funds. Those ARPA funds give you the ability to use it for this, but I don't think there's one person in this room think that that's what they're intended for. They're intended for things that we don't normally have money for. And budget deficit's not one that we should be spending our money on. I'm not going to stop it this year because, like I said, we're pretty fortunate to have that. But I would not expect the next year's budget to get to the point where we have to spend $800,000 of ARPA money on to balance the budget, when we know right now, 12 months from now, that that's a possibility. So we need to put our heads together. If we need to have quarterly budget meetings, whatever it takes, that's what we need to do. We can't bail ourselves out every single year with money that's going to dry up here in a couple of years. To answer one of Jim's questions, probably the only way we could have balanced our budget this year would is take our reserve probably down to 19 or 20%. And as we all know, not good business. I don't have any questions, or I'm not going to slow the process for this budget, but we absolutely have to do a better job before next year, that we don't spend another $800,000 of money to balance our budget.
Thank you. Any members of the public have any comments? Go ahead, Mr. Warren.
Good evening, council members. John Warren, City of Ceres. I would expect our city council members to not pass a budget unless it's balanced. Whether you do it this year or kick the can down the road and do it next year. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Silvera, and I'm glad that you spoke that way, and also Mr. Casey. We need a balanced budget, and whatever it takes to get that. The ARPA money is designed for things that we don't have extra funding for. And we've been doing that maintenance of some of our buildings, air conditioning systems, there's need for work at the American Legion Hall. Bring it up to standards that we don't have in the budget. I would much rather see that 800,000 or $1 million be used for that. Send it back to staff for a budget balance this year. Nothing otherwise. I would expect your vote to be that way. I understand what you said, Mr. Severa, but I would hope that you give consideration and send it back to staff and get a balanced budget, whatever it takes. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Dave Pratt of Series. Yeah, so you pissed away thousands of dollars because you said you had extra money. Now you're saying that you're going to have issues with the budget. That's the way it seems like all our government's going. Our federal budget, they just keep writing blank checks, and our state keeps stealing money from everywhere else to balance their budget. And yeah, I didn't realize the city's been, not just Ceres, but other cities, because Governor Brown took away billions of dollars to budget the state's budget. And the city's been fighting to try to stay afloat for years. And then the COVID coming along that didn't help either. So I could count on Rhino to work on the budget, but I can see at her point to quit because she has to deal with you people all the time on the budget. And I understand, my understanding is somebody on the council not named can't even balance their own budget, is trying to budget the city. You guys are gonna have to start looking at the funds that you have and quit acting like our federal government and the state.
Anybody else? Oh, you want to come back? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Warren.
As a thought with the budget thing, we do have some agreement with the county as involving with the property tax. We had an exchange about that a while back. I know if the county gives back some money, they're going to have to find funding someplace else what they gave back, as Mr. Klein spoke about. But I haven't heard anything in regards to how that would work into our budget process, receiving those additional funds that have to do with our property taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
If I may make a comment on that, and I will let the city finance director correct me if I'm wrong. With the revenue sharing with the county, that would go into the general fund.
Correct.
It would not go into, a water sewer fund, parks fund, or it would go back into the general fund with the revenue sharing with the increases they are bringing. So it would add to our general fund. That's the bottom line. Am I wrong?
You're not.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have a follow-up comment to my earlier comments. I was here for last year's budget, obviously. We balanced it one way or another. I don't remember how we did it. I know it was a long process. The reason we're in the situation we are now is much like everybody else in this country and probably all over the world are. Everything costs more. The projected expenditures for this coming year, when we talked about it last year, have gone up exponentially for this 22-23 budget. Retirement costs have gone up, health insurance costs have gone up, workman's comp, liability insurance, everything has gone up. So now we all, in our personal budgets and the state and the county, everybody understands that it's probably not going to stop. We have a better idea of the trajectory of inflation, recession, what have you, which will give us the ability to do a better job moving forward, planning for these rate increases. If you remember, those of us that were around during COVID, the height of COVID, our revenues were actually higher than projected. And it gave me a little bit of a false sense of security that we were doing fine. Everything flips. We start to come out of COVID and inflation goes crazy. Prices go crazy. Our expenses go crazy. That's my opinion on how we got into this situation. It's not different than anywhere else in this country. We're all dealing with it. I have friends that are on councils in other areas and on school boards. Everybody's seeing the same thing. It's hard to project something that changed so much in a probably 8 to 10 month period. We would have never had the ability to know with our normal 5% increase in inflation or whatever, that it was going to be twice that. So I commend our finance director, city manager, and all the department heads for doing all the work we did last year to balance a budget when we barely could do it. Different. We're lucky, like I said before, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We're lucky to get out of it now. Let's not be in that situation next year.
Okay. Bring it back to council.
Well, before he does that, I want to expand on what Vice Mayor Silvera said, just looking over, the sheet that they say as far as general fund or future projections. You look at the expenditures, salaries went up $500,000. Retirements went up $400,000. We're talking just between the two, you're looking at almost, $900,000. And I'm just saying that off thing. The expenditures have gone up as far as that, and that doesn't count the medical, the group insurance, went up $200,000. So you're looking at $900,000 just in those increases. And I know that next year is going to be completely different with the addition to the revenue sharing the Stanislaus County is going to give us, that, how we're going to increase it. And I'm going to ask, finance director one question. With the ARP Act funding that we're adding into the budget, what expenditures of the ARP money is also included in the budget? Is there any expenditures or are those going into different funds?
All of the ARPA funding is in a separate fund. So the revenue that came in is in its own fund. The expenditures come out of that fund. So what will happen is we will transfer, it'll be an expenditure to that ARPA fund and revenue into the general fund. But all of the ARPA expenditures are in a separate fund.
Okay. And then if you look at projections for 23, 24, 24, 25, we're not using any more reserve. All we're doing is holding our reserves steady, and the ARP money is decreasing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Looks like we do have one hand. Thank you, Mike.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Where do I get a copy of the budget?
It should be online on the website under agendas.
Agendas?
And if-
Okay.
And if you want, we could possibly email it to you if that's possible. If you want to reach out to our city clerk's office, we'll do that for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council now.
I'll move to approve resolution 2022-64 and 2022-65.
Second. Roll call, please.
For Casey,
Nay.
Councilmember Klein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes,
Motion passes 3-1.
thank you. Moving on to council members' referrals.
Say that again?
Referrals first. Any referrals? And now,
No, I don't have referrals, but it might be a type of referral.
okay, go ahead.
You know, a while back, I have a city managers meeting, usually generally every Thursday before our following our city council meeting. With that being said, I had asked him to look into a couple of things and I followed up with it. And then the comment I got back to me, he didn't follow up with it because it wasn't brought up at the diocese, that the rest of the council members aren't aware of it. So I decided, okay, going forward, that's what we're going to do. So with that being said, last Monday night, the Planning Commission did not approve the conditional use permit for the pallet yard. So my question is to the city manager is, did they ever have a city business license to operate in the city of Ceres? The second thing is, did we ever get any tax revenue from the pallet yard with them operating? I understand they were operating for about 18 months in the city, maybe they're further. So did they have a business license to operate, and were we getting any tax revenue? And if you would please follow up with that and bring it back to the council on the 27th and give us an update on that.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Okay. I have no reports. City Council, we'll start off with you, Casey.
Sure. As council knows anyway, the alternate member of the on the Stanislaus Homeless Association meeting. We meet every Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I reported, as I've had it's the first of the year, that our city hasn't started anything, but we're going to start something. And then it was brought to my attention that here in Ceres, our Ceres school district is the premier school district in the county that handles the homeless. Apparently, there's some 500 students in the program. So, and tentatively next meeting, the 27th, we're going to have a presentation from Brett Kahn, the chairman of the association. And I, look forward to the presentation. I hope our citizens understand that the homeless here, whether we do something or not, they're here and they are citizens of the city of Ceres. And we need to take care of those people. And in closing, I'd like to apologize to Gene for the May 9th incident.
Any other
I
reports?
have two things. Yeah. First of all, the mayor and I sit on the board for the Stanislaus Regional Water Authority. It's the plant that we're going to take water from the Tuolumne River, clean it, and pump it down into Ceres to help with our drinking water issues. If you haven't seen the big tank going up by the soccer field, it's amazing. Just follow their Facebook page, take a ride out there off of Fox Road, kind of on the bluff above Fox Grove, fishing access. It's an amazing project. So it's on budget, ahead of time, ahead of budget. It's actually a pretty fantastic project that we're a part of with the city of Turlock and TID. So thought I'd give a quick report about that. And we meet again this week. Second thing is tomorrow, for those of you that don't know, is the first night of Ceres Concerts in the Park. So we have from 6 to 8, we have sponsored by Sam's Cafe. We have Gotcha Country, a local country band that plays all over the place. They're amazing. There'll be 3 food vendors selling food. So bring your lawn chairs and come out and listen to some good music. And they'll be every Tuesday night for 6 weeks with all different sponsors and all different types of music. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager, Alex.
Thank you, Mayor. There were a couple comments regarding Measure H. So just want to make an announcement that applications are now being accepted for the Measure H Oversight Committee. Measure H Oversight Committee is responsible for conducting annual review and expenditures made under the half-cent public safety sales tax. A 5-member committee is selected by the council. Effective June 30th, 2022, the city will have 3 vacancies due to the expiring term limits. Applications must be completed and returned to the office of the city clerk by 5 p.m. Friday, July 8th. For more information, contact our interim city clerk, Kelly Weaver. Her phone number is 538-5731. Or you can contact the city clerk via email at cityclerk@ci.series.ca.us. Then one other announcement, would like to introduce our new Human Resources Director. Down at the end of the table that way, you'll see Delilah Vasquez. Delilah is a human resources professional with over 22 years of public sector experience and extensive knowledge and expertise in recruitment, leaves of absences, risk management, professional development, and employee relations. Delilah takes pride in serving others and considers herself a lifelong learner. She enjoys traveling and is working on visiting the 7 wonders of the world. She has visited 5 and has 2 to go. So please help me in welcoming Delilah.
Welcome.
Delilah?
Any comments? Just a thank you very much.
I did, or maybe I shouldn't say this, it's part of the hazing, but I did tell her at first that every newbie makes a 10-minute presentation
10 minutes,
and she didn't appreciate that very much, but welcome, Delilah.
Welcome. Anything else?
That's all, Mayor.
City Attorney?
No report, Mayor and Council.
Okay, anybody from the department heads? That doesn't look like our county supervisors are online. And I would just like to take this moment, take a moment of silence in the name of Robert Ball, our IT manager, who passed away on Friday. We now adjourn this meeting. Rest in peace, Robert. Thank you.
Adjourning the closed session, Mayor.
Just because I was in the moment. So we are adjourning, and we do have a closed session on item number 16 pursuant to Government Code, section 54957. Title is City Attorney. Thank you, everybody.
Council returned from closed session and gave direction to staff.